What's going on? We're out here, beautiful property up in Beaconsfield. This is where I had my old studio, but we're back here. We've got a awesome, probably hour of just knowledge that's going to be dropped.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and we're here. I'm here with Nero. I just produced his latest album for King Cobra. So, I mean, why don't you tell them about it? King Cobra is a
Yeah, well,
metal band.
it is metal. King Cobra, I mean, I guess before talking about the band, I guess we'll go a little bit before, you know, the
Absolutely,
the initiation, what inspired the idea and all that stuff.
Yeah, so actually, so basically, you've done is you've come up with a new concept or a new subgenre of metal.
Like a new take on metal.
A new take on metal.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I mean, look, to put it in sort of simple layman terms, what I've done is, you know, obviously metal is such a broad genre.
Absolutely.
You know, you know, it's got a huge fan following all around the world. You know, so many legendary bands, Metallica, Iron Maiden, and then obviously bands like Black Sabbath who sort of pioneered the art of heavy metal and all that. So, you know, obviously living in 2022 and trying to form a metal band, you know, there's so many stuff out there, right? So I guess what I wanted to do was, you know, do something different, you know, stand out in the marketplace. You know, if I was doing a heavy metal album, right, and we'll get to the making of it a little bit later, you know, I wanted to do something that, you know, when the audience listens to the product, you know, the songs, they know, oh, look, this is something different, and hopefully we've achieved that with that album. And I'm kind of backtracking to the idea again, the question that you asked, Simon, was, you know, look, it's, you know, in layman terms, it is, we combine traditional heavy metal elements, you know, power chords and the solos and the structure and all that. But we also, aggression, and we combined, but we also brought in a lot of exotic elements especially from South Asia, the kind of the part of the world that I come from. And I mean, look, you know, we like to sort of call it temple metal. Why temple metal? Because we borrow a lot of sonic elements from various temples across Asia. I mean, growing up as a kid, right? You go to all these temples, you know, Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, and you hear certain sounds and they resonate with you, right? And then you come and live in the Western world, and then all those sounds of your childhood are still there. I'm sure you can kind of relate, or your parents coming from South America, your family can relate to that too. There are some sounds, you know, it's not just sounds.
They're just specific to that region of the world, I suppose.
Pretty much, you know, they're just kind of stuck in you. Like, you know, it's subconsciously, it's in your kind of the mind. So I guess what I was trying to do is almost going down a nostalgic route, trying to access some of these sonic sounds from my childhood, especially in relation to temples and all that, and put it in, I guess, a Western, modern heavy metal context. And hopefully we've achieved that, you know?
So basically, when I describe to people exactly so to put, I suppose, a reference in their head as to what to hear for when they're listening to this album is like snake charming, all that kind of stuff, that kind of, you know, that really Indian, Sri Lankan sounding scales that they use when they're trying to charm a snake.
Pretty much.
And then taking that and putting it, using those elements and that kind of chord progression and that scale and those key signatures, and translating them into guitar riffs.
That's right. I mean, there you go. I mean, right on the money.
It's all in the guitar riffs.
And I think for me, how we sort of again stand out, or you know why we're different, is we are not really an Eastern band. You know, we are a Western band, right?
Absolutely.
But then it's like me and you know our guitarist Ben, the drummer Mustafa, and all that. You know, what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring in what's good of the Eastern world, like whatever the sonic template, and then bring the Western world and combine it together. So maybe a band from the eastern part of the world, like India, Sri Lanka, might have these sorts of riffs, right? Or, you know, something which resembles that. Not that I know of, obviously I've been a heavy metal fan before this band, band came, but and then now we've taken it into a Western, I guess,
Yeah.
hemisphere. So for me, I think it has really given us a very unique signature
Yeah,
in
which
terms
is
of
wicked.
sound that which we hopefully
Absolutely.
can harness, you know, and
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
likes of you at Helma as well, you know, it
Yeah,
only
yeah,
gets
yeah.
better,
Well,
you know.
I mean, it's good that, like, I totally understand where you were coming from with the album. Hence why I took on the project, hence why I said yes, is
Yeah.
because I could see your vision and I could understand where you were coming from. And you didn't just want to write a metal song and then let's get a sitar or let's get a typical
Go the
Indian music
complete,
and
yeah,
just put it in.
yeah,
You wanted to translate it and just, we got guitar, we got bass, we got drums,
yeah,
but we wanted to make it sound like it's heavily influenced from Sri Lanka,
yeah,
Sri Lankan culture,
yeah.
Indian culture,
Indian culture,
Asian
yeah.
culture.
But it's not quite that either, you know. It's kind of a, I guess, a weird, mix. You know, it's a kind of a different breed of animal. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
it's like, yeah, you're that,
Yeah,
but then you're not that at the same time. I'm
yeah,
pretty sure that, and it'll be very interesting to see how the fans of the eastern part of the world react to these
to this
songs,
album. Yeah,
because I know for a fact that, I mean, they probably know, oh, look, it sounds like us, so, you know, this part of the world, but they haven't seen that put into a
to a
song,
song. Yeah,
or
yeah,
especially a song where the lyrics and the themes are in English, or,
yeah.
you know, quite
Absolutely. Yeah,
Western,
yeah.
I
So
guess,
that's
to an
another
extent.
thing is that
That's another, yeah,
the language you've sung it in English or
yeah,
it's all in English. There's no Sri Lankan words or anything like that.
yeah,
So you've definitely written it with the Western culture in mind.
yeah,
However, you've still utilised those Eastern culture
yeah, yeah.
sounds and
And what I want to bring here is, and I want to ask you a question as well, Simon, but I mean, for me, right, you were the producer of this album
yeah.
even before the band, even if I had any idea
Okay, yeah, right.
of, you know, whether I want to do a band or
Yeah,
not, right?
right.
Because I mean, obviously this is kind of backtracking a bit into the past, but if you remember, you were actually the guy who gave me my first guitar.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I was actually telling Lance, which is our media guy.
Yeah.
I was telling him today that, yeah, like just before COVID, I sold you your first guitar.
Yeah. And
You didn't even play, and then
man.
3 years later, you messaged me like, "Mate, I've got 10 songs written,
and so
and they're metal."
yeah, so
I'm like, "What? That's insane!
man,
That's so cool."
I keep thinking, man, like, obviously, I mean, kind of without trying to, I guess, sound too corny or all that stuff, you know, obviously, you know, being grateful too. I was thinking, man, if you didn't bring me that guitar, right? Yeah, I didn't play it, right? But
Yeah.
then I remember that guitar. I can't remember, was it a Fender or
It was
something?
a Fender. Yeah, it was a Squire.
Yeah, Squire. Yeah,
Squire
pretty good guitar. And
Stratocaster.
I can't remember if did you bring an amp as well?
Yeah, it was a Fender amp with
the
it.
whole thing.
Yeah.
And I think I probably played like 2 notes, 3 notes, and then obviously, you know, I couldn't play for shit, right? So
Yep.
kind of kept it in the cupboard. But then every time I was looking at it, and then I was getting sunk to this vortex of heavy metal.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, when you listen to it, you know, you next thing you want to do with anything, right? Like it's like watching cricket or soccer, you know. You watch it, what do you want to do next? You want to play it, right? You want to be like those people that
Absolutely.
you see on
Yeah,
TV
yeah.
and media, man.
So how long have you been into metal?
Probably about 4 or 5 years now.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. So that was you were born in Sri Lanka
Yeah.
and you migrated here.
When I was 20, so around 2011, you know.
Yeah, so 10 years ago.
Yeah, 10, 12 years ago, yeah.
And then you were influenced. You got into your metal 5 years ago. So whilst you were here in Australia.
But pretty much,
Yeah.
man. It's
That's
just,
awesome.
you know, I guess it's like I was, you know, I was aware that there were bands like Metallica, and then obviously I guess the more rock side, you know, the
Yeah.
Rolling Stones and the Kiss, and even Motley Crue, which was
Yeah.
kind of a bit of a secret.
But I was into Motley Crue.
Yeah,
for
well,
a
they got
while.
some good riffs,
Oh,
man.
fuck yeah.
You know, people give Motley Crue shit, right? Obviously, because of the way they look or
Because of what
used
they
to look.
did.
Yeah, what they
Yeah.
did, right? But man, I think if you separate that from their riffs, since you know this is you know, we're talking about the music here predominantly. I think they got some of the most heaviest and
yeah.
unique riffs of that era,
Yeah,
man.
mate. Nicky Six, the bassist, is
Oh,
is
You know,
definitely
he's
up
like
there.
the songwriter or something, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
And
Yeah. So
yeah,
now this album called Temple of Sorrow,
Temple of Sorrow. That's right.
which is name of a track as well.
Yeah, it's the name of the track. It's the third track.
Third track on the album.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Should we pour some?
In case you haven't realised watching, we've got some cigars and we've got a bottle of whiskey.
We're gonna have 2 glasses of redemption here.
You want to be honest?
Yeah.
Cheers, oh, mate. Cheers, on
Just for a album completed and so pretty good, huh?
Yeah, that's nice. So,
Yeah.
opening track
Yes.
is King Cobra.
It's King Cobra, right? So, obviously, if you remember, opening track of any album is such a crucial thing.
Absolutely,
I feel like, it's because there's so much riding on it because, it's the first thing that whoever picks up the record, either it's physically or, clicks this button streaming wise, that's the first thing they're going to hear if they obviously, listen to the album, right? So, it's always a hard thing for any band or any artist, and you know this, right? And if you remember, we actually mixed
the order of the album has changed.
changed, right? And
so much.
why I chose King Cobra as the opening track,
which was decided today.
which was decided today, by the way, kind of last minute, was for me, it's the best riff on the album, right?
Absolutely.
But more importantly than that, if I was to pick any riff, any song which symbolizes the band, where I was coming from a sonic point of view, this journey we had, I think it's got to be King Cobra, man.
I would have to 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
It's the opening riff of that song is where you hear the Eastern influences the most.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think I think you made the right call with that, definitely.
Yeah, no, thanks, man.
Yeah.
And
to be fair, there's a lot of songs that you could have opened it with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think King Cobra is a good
good one,
choice,
and
I don't think you would have made a mistake either way because I mean the end songs are probably good where they are, but there's a lot of songs that you could have opened it with.
Yeah, and look, with that song, it's what we spoke about, a little bit earlier in this interview about having, you're talking about the snake charming and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's what it is, King Cobra, And,
it is,
and why King Cobra? I mean, it's, you can, I guess, look at, it's the animal King Cobra too, but I think King Cobra symbolizes a lot of things, King Cobra in the Eastern world is an animal of worship. People worship. Parts of India, right, in Sri Lanka, you don't kill King Cobras because if you kill King Cobras, they think something bad's gonna happen to you or down the family. I mean, there's such a huge set of beliefs wrapped around this.
Cobras,
in a way, tiny but dangerous animal. I mean, one bite will take you out, man. Within whatever amounts of minutes. So. Yeah, man, it's and that's why hence the band name's King Cobra too, because I think King Cobra for me symbolizes a lot of things, not just the animal. So that was the opening track, riff, and I think I'm pretty sure that might have been the first riff I played you, didn't you?
Yeah, first song you showed me.
Yeah,
first song we recorded.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of significance, I think.
Yeah. What were your first thoughts when I played you that riff?
So when you played me that riff, I was like, I get it. I totally understand where you're coming from. What I was expecting was just another metal riff.
Yeah.
Like thinking that you were going to sing in Sri Lankan, or thinking that you might have, gotten, as I said before, a sitar or something and distorted it and made it, do something like that.
Yeah.
But when you played the riff, I was like, I can actually hear the Eastern influences in it.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of the stuff's very basic as well. But it just speaks wonders. It's like, this is cool. This is awesome.
That's the thing, it's just, I guess I was forever, I'm forever, as an artist or as a guitarist, I'm forever chasing 3 tracks, right?
Yeah.
One is Iron Man by Black Sabbath, right?
Yeah.
Blackened by Metallica.
Yep.
And then Symphony of Destruction by Megadeth, right?
Yeah.
So although this is anywhere near Iron Man, I think Iron Man was really my inspiration for King Cobra.
Yep.
That the beats, the kick drum
at the start.
It's kind of almost like a tribute to Iron Man. So
An
we
homage,
love
yeah.
you, Black Sabbath.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's King Cobra, man.
That's
Track
awesome.
number 1. Yeah.
Yeah. So just before we move on to the next track, so opening. So I'm a huge fan. Like I'm a huge preacher of releasing singles from a marketing perspective, from a producer point of view. I've always thought that releasing an album when you're just starting out is a massive hurdle to overcome. I think it's definitely something that you probably shouldn't think of just from a marketing perspective. It's just easier to manage singles. You've got more content to release, but in this case, you didn't come to me with the expectation to, I suppose, start yourself as a band. You didn't have a band, really. It was just you.
Pretty much, yeah.
We did it all, me and you. There was no band involved. It was just us in the studio. And so you came to me with the idea of, I just want to make a fucking metal album.
That's it.
I don't give a fuck about marketing. I don't care about all. I just want to make a metal album that's influenced by Eastern culture, East Asian civilization. Let's do it. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. And that's just in case people come back and be like, Tom, you always say, you always say do singles. Why are you doing albums? It's purely because of that. Because you said that I just want to make a metal album.
Yeah. And
you were introduced into metal, which is how I think everybody should be introduced.
Yeah.
I love albums. Don't get me wrong. If you can make an album, make an album.
Yeah.
I just think that if you're trying to make this a living and you're trying to start from scratch, it just makes sense to just do singles.
Saves time.
If you want to do an album, do it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever. All right. But yeah, it's just that you're going to press it to vinyl. You're going to make CDs. And that's why it's important to think of these, because you wanted to revisit the classics. You wanted to be a classic kind
pretty
of thing,
much. And that's why, talking about being tribute to Black Sabbath and all that, I guess, I'm kind of old school in that way too. I like to, something like Black Sabbath's Paranoid album,
Absolutely.
Metallica's Master of Puppets, Rust in Peace of Megadeth, all that stuff, right? For me, right, traditionally, you hold an album, right, and then you see the artwork, right? For me, I think the journey starts from there. You see, all right, okay, so that's what that stands for. Okay, let's turn around. There's all the songs, and then let's jump. Let's put it on a recorder, streaming in the modern world, whatever, and then let's just listen.
To me, right then, you've already got the element of the story set up through the artwork, through the name of the album, through the names of the songs.
Yeah,
and then you can almost appreciate it more and just visually see what the musician was trying to see purely because of the artwork. You understand it now.
It's a story, man.
It's hard to do that nowadays with Spotify and that, because
very hard, isn't it? Yeah,
because nobody's picking that up and having that experience that you said.
I guess people, and you know more about this than me. Lots of artists maybe are chasing instant fame, or they kind of try to fit in a certain boundary or sonic template. But for me, I mean, like we could have, talking about King Cobra first track, we could have just made King Cobra and put it out there. I mean, that would have made things so much easier, and we would have done it like 3-4 months ago, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
But then for me, I just felt like just putting King Cobra out there won't tell the story. I mean, we got King Cobra and we got 8 more tracks which kind of tell a story.
And it's good because it's kind of that immediate gratification that a lot of musicians want and seek. And that's why a lot of people, I'm guilty of this, that's why a lot of people release music that isn't perfect, or not perfect, but isn't up to scratch or good enough for people to share, because they want instant gratification, they like what they've done and they want to release it now, and I want to fucking do it now. But if you just take your time, take a step back, be like, you know what, I want this to be a story, I want this to be an album, so I'm going to not release it, and I'm just going to write the album and then release it and get gratification later. Yeah,
pretty much, Yeah. And I mean, look, again, coming from, I guess, the traditional metal world and all that stuff, I don't know if the whole singles thing is whether it's to do with more hip-hop, so R&B or modern music or whatever. For me, I mean, if you see, I guess, metal forums and all that stuff, right? Every album, let's say Metallica's And Justice for All, right? Yeah. There's a cult following for the album, not just songs. Yeah. Obviously, there are 2-3 good hit songs. If it's Metallica's case, And Justice for All album, Blackened, maybe Soda Straw. One was a big hit, But then
Classic song.
I love that people actually talk about the album. So one of the pressing issues with that album, made in 1988, I think, was that there was lack of bass in there, right?
Yep,
and
absolutely.
it's become such a cult thing now that there's no bass in there, right? And people, it's become part of their childhood. People like 40, 30 years after having a conversation that
Yeah.
there's no bass in that album.
Yeah.
I really like that world,
Absolutely,
where
yeah,
someone's
yeah.
actually taken a product that Metallica did, in this case, let's say Temple of Sorrow.
Yeah.
And even whether it's this, I'm sure there'll be so many mistakes that future generations will,
Absolutely.
200 years from now, they'll be like, oh no, this is not good, this is turned down.
Mate, there's so many albums out there that have been released.
Yeah,
Like, even simple shit. I can't remember what band it was.
yeah,
It annoys me, but I think it might have been Red Hot Chili Peppers.
right.
And they, or System of a Down, I can't remember. Just somebody with Rick Rubin, I think,
Yeah,
where they accidentally left the wrong guitar part in the wrong section
right.
and it was overlooked, but it's like a cult thing. It's like, people
That's
love
it,
it.
man.
And
That's
people
it.
play it live. That's how it's played now.
I honestly think, man, no one can predict the fate of an album. Yeah, you're sure might be some songs that we think will do better than the others, but I'm sure all artists, when they release the album or song, it's almost like when you release it out there to the public,
Yeah.
we are no longer the makers or the owners of it. It's like the public decides the fate,
Absolutely.
right? And the public decides. I mean, look at Metallica, for example. And I keep saying, bringing up Metallica because that's probably the band that I listen to the
Yeah,
most.
they're your big influence. Yeah.
Had such a big influence on me, as a guitarist, as
You can hear it in the album.
Yeah, and the album as well, right? And if you see they close every event
Yep.
with Enter Sandman.
Yeah.
Right now, Enter Sandman was from their album in 1991, I think, Black Album, which
Yep.
is their highest selling album, right? But for a hardcore Metallica fan, right,
Yeah.
they had Master of Puppets and Justice for All, Ride the Lightning, which had probably, arguably so many better songs
Yeah.
than Enter Sandman, right? But obviously Enter Sandman is so catchy, heavy,
Everyone knows it.
everyone knows it, right? And that's their biggest
Every
song.
single person in that stadium who's there watching Metallica will
That's
know
right.
that song.
Their biggest song is not from their, whatever the first four classic albums, which,
Absolutely.
people. So, man, I mean, we might not have a hit song here, right? Or we might have all hit songs. We might have one or two hit songs, right? Maybe our hit song
Yeah.
will come like in the 10th album,
Who knows?
That's the beauty, and
That's what you shouldn't write a song to get a hit song either. You
That's
shouldn't write
right.
Music just
That's
for the
right.
sake.
That's right. Yeah. So, yeah.
House of Serpents, second
Yeah.
song on the album.
Yeah, I think you probably love that song.
Dude,
too.
it's
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
it's definitely up there. One of my favorite songs.
Yeah, it was supposed to be the opener.
It
Remember?
was, yeah.
And
Which would have worked perfect.
Yeah. I think it's the best song on the album
You
for
think,
me.
yeah? As in, like written, like
Yeah,
composition
just
wise,
the complete product,
or overall.
Yeah, or
okay.
best riff, best production, best vocals. Sort of lyrically. It's about, House of Serpents about I guess a place that you can't escape from. This house that you sinned on in.
Yeah.
This house bleeds it out alive. It could be, the house could be so many things, man. House could be your mind.
Yeah.
House could be a place. House could be a place where the actual physical place that had a history of abuse, and that you can't. So
So
I think-
basically, your
yeah.
house
Yeah, it could be my house, could be anyone's
is
house, man.
different. So so you've written the words are metaphorically.
Yeah.
Metaphorical.
Yeah.
That kind of reminds me of a 21 Pilot song, Kitchen Sink,
Right.
where he raps and he's like, a kitchen sink to me is not a kitchen sink to you, and people don't understand why. Like, what is it? What's the kitchen
Yeah,
sink thing?
yeah.
But that's the whole thing. Is that
Yeah.
my kitchen sink? Because the whole thing is about depression and just having. So
Yeah.
my kitchen sink is, some baggage that I've got, whereas
Yeah.
it's different to what yours is. Yeah.
Right, that's
It's
right.
exactly the same. Your house is your baggage different to, so it's up to interpretation of this song, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I love songs that are open to interpretation.
Yeah. And for me, I think that's the thing, man. Like, it's like there's no one size shoe, one size shoe fits.
One size fits all.
One size fits all
Yeah.
kind of thing. It's House and King Cobra. And we'll get to Temple of Sorrow, which is the third track.
Yeah.
It could mean so many different things to different people,
Absolutely.
man. Like I said, the house could be your mind. Maybe your mind's been keeping you back
Yeah.
from things
Yeah.
that you want to achieve and all that. Maybe the house is actually a person. Maybe it's
Yeah.
a partner. Maybe it's a family member that's holding you back from some sort of salvation or achieving what you want to achieve. Maybe it is actually a physical place.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an institution. Maybe it's your school. Maybe
Yeah.
it's prison. And I guess that's where the whole house.
Yeah.
And I know I probably sound German in there. That was a joke that we were.
Yeah, you sound German.
Yeah,
You
I
sound
sound
like
German.
Rammstein.
Yeah, this is
Fucking
for the
wicked.
German fans of King Cobra.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's. But yeah, House of Serpent. Great riff. I think you, Simon, really took that song to the next level because with the drums and the beats. Because I think I had a kind of a mellowed down version of House of Serpent,
Yeah.
and then you came on board, and then I think you really took to the next level. So I think a lot of credit goes to you as well. When obviously you guys hear this song, you'll know.
Should be out by the time this is out.
Yeah, it should be out. Very soon. You really turned it into the explosive track
Yeah.
that that it is, because
Yeah,
I'm pretty
wicked.
sure the riff that I played you, it's the same riff, but it's kind of a mellowed down,
Yeah.
more more kind of
Yeah,
even surface. But that's a House of Serpent.
Yeah, sick.
That's,
Yeah, and so track 3, Temple of Sorrow, which
Yeah.
is the title of the
Title
album.
track.
Why did you pick Temple of Sorrow? Does it tie in with the whole temple music, temple metal, or like is this another metaphorical thing? Like why Temple of Sorrow
Yeah,
as the name as well as the track? I mean,
it's a good question. I would say it's a combination of everything. Look, for me, again, going back to growing up in that part of the world, I came to Australia when I was 20, and for me, man, look, and obviously I don't want to hurt anyone's religious sentiments
Yeah.
or anything like that.
I do.
Yeah, fuck them. I guess the inspiration for that song came from me as a kid,
Yeah.
going to temples, Buddhist temples, and in Sri Lanka, what happens is there's a interesting hybrid of Buddhism combined with Hinduism. So Buddhist temples also have Hindu element, Hindu temples have Buddhist element.
Yeah.
I won't we can talk all day for, but
Absolutely.
but for me, why Temple of Sorrow, right? Like, do people don't associate temples with sorrow, right? They associate temples with hope,
Absolutely. Yeah.
riches,
It's a curveball. It's a curveball, yeah.
security, faith, all that, right? So
Serenity, like
serenity,
silence.
good
You wouldn't
feeling,
associate temple with
being blessed on from the sky gods or whatever, right? But why I called it Temple of Sorrow is that for me as a kid, I just felt that in a way people were slaves
Yeah.
to an institution. People come and they offer what they the flowers, the money, the gold. Especially in our part of the world, they offer a lot of gold
Yeah.
to the temples, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And for me, right, so you offer the gold, you offer a beautiful basket of fruits and all that stuff
Yeah.
to the god, right? But obviously, realistically talking from in the modern world, the fruit just rots away or the priest eats it, right?
Yep.
But then the moment you step out from a temple, what do you see, man? All these homeless kids,
Yeah.
just sort of, trying to get
Begging.
through that, begging,
Yeah.
trying to get through the day, trying to
Absolutely.
get something to eat, trying to sell some flowers just to get by so their sick parents could, get by the day or all that, right? So I guess that's why I called it Temple of Sorrow. I said, what's the point? You give all this gold and fruits and all the riches to satisfy because
gods, yeah.
the stories that you are reserved some seat in heaven,
Yeah.
whatever the respective religion that you follow, do good, collect points, and then you step out of it. All these people are suffering outside the temple, and people flock in around the temple because they know that a lot of these pilgrims come and all that stuff, right?
Absolutely,
So, and to sell flowers and oils and all that stuff, right? So
because I know that a lot of tourists are there.
yeah,
as well.
yeah. So I mean, that's the thing. I mean, in that in that song, there is a line which says, "Blessing is a curse."
Yeah.
Right? It's like people are slaves to that. I know people
Yeah,
come and tell
fuck.
their sorrows.
That's
and
so
all
weird
that.
because I never even thought of that. Like, so when I listen to a song,
Yeah,
I don't listen to lyrics. That's why I'm able to. That's why like I enjoy
probably works as a
foreign,
producer too, huh?
foreign, yeah,
Yeah.
because I don't listen to the words, not until I actively choose to,
Yeah, yeah,
and so I'd never listened to I
Yeah.
never paid attention to your words.
yeah.
Until
that's all
just
right.
now, until you said bleeding is a curse and
Yeah,
the temple
blessing
of
is a
sorrow.
curse. Yeah,
and now
yeah,
I'm like, oh shit, yeah, that's
Yeah.
really prophetic. That's prolific. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And that's the thing. And I remember the opening line, and that's actually one of the things that I once again give credit to you for really bringing that up. It opens up, and people will know what I'm talking about. It says these temple bells, these temple bells. What do? They go and they ring a
the
temple bell.
bell, yeah.
Everyone just follows the system, man. Everyone's just kind of, I don't know what's the word, but guilty of
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
it. They're
yeah.
just doing the same thing. That's what their grandparents did. That's what their great
Absolutely,
grand, offering the thing. But what difference did they really make in the real world? I know it's controversial, but that's I guess the concept of temple and temple sorrow, and I mean the whole kind of temple medal kind of comes into that as well. But yeah, that's temple of sorrow there, right there for you. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So song 4 is
Crown of Snakes.
Crown of Snakes.
Yeah.
It used to be called Crown of Snakes, killing the wrong
Kill the wrong enemy.
So yeah, tell me about this song. Like, what do you think?
So, this song is probably the
pretty
big,
cool.
Stadium, high groovy, and it's pretty. I guess it's very different from the top 3 songs. That I mean, it starts and then it goes to this fast. It's very groovy and it's got so many sections and all that stuff, right? The Crown of Snakes was kind of, I guess, my take on the whole, not just British, but there's kind of the whole colonialism.
Okay, yeah.
It's just the damage it caused. I mean, there's so many lines there. Talking about the erase of culture. I come for your minds, I come for your children. All that stuff.
That bridge in that song, go check it out.
You loved
It's
it, didn't you?
fucking wicked.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
So why did you? I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much.
Yeah, it's just
song,
a take on. Hence, look, the Crown of Snakes, which is kind of a little bit of a funny, indirect take on the whole British monarchy.
Absolutely, yeah. And it ties back into King Cobra as well.
King Cobra and all that stuff. I mean, for me, I feel like that, they did so much damage to the various parts of the world that they colonized, including Sri Lanka and India, right? And there was no apology or nothing. Obviously, past is past. There's no point, I guess, sympathize, or complaining about the past. But yeah, that whole that song and the lyrics will kind of speak for itself. Really talks about the damage it did, and you're talking about the kill the wrong enemy part, which is a bridge there, and that part kind of came with the British made people of a country kill a lot of people of their country, right? Their own people, right? Like, so whatever the people who were pro-British or worked for the British empire at the time, police, soldiers killed a lot of the villages collected taxes. You know,
Yeah.
didn't pay the taxes, freaking 100 lashes on the back. You know, all that stuff, right? So I'm asking, did you kill the wrong enemy?
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like a.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So that and then the song kind of expands on that. But that it's about, I guess, colonialism, you know, and the damage it did. And have we healed, or are we
Yeah,
ever gonna
right.
heal? So hence Crown of Snakes, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Song 5 is
Is the President Evil.
President Evil in
So
Insidious?
well, it's now just President Evil.
President Evil?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
So
President
obviously we
Evil.
are working on the the album, and we are doing you know, as in we are just last minute changes here and there.
Yeah.
President of the Evil was one of your favorites. Maybe it was
It
your
was,
favorite.
it was my favorite when you first showed me. 'cause-
Yeah. What made you like that riff? I know
Well,
you were a
I
big fan
I
of the
like
riff then, weren't you?
the rhythm that you used is the rhythm that was used in Terminator.
Yeah.
And just the gung, 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 gung. I don't know. It just it's heavy. It's familiar. It's I don't know. It's just wicked. For
Yeah.
some reason, and it's so basic
Yeah.
because I'm sure it's been used a million times. But
Hell
then
yeah.
when you do that dun, 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 like that, then brings in the East Asian feel, and like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah,
This is
it's a good point
different.
that you mentioned there. I mean, I think that track specifically is a good example of this whole temple metal
Yeah.
thing that we are trying to push.
Yeah.
I mean, Terminator sort of riff, you know, da. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone knows that. You
Yeah.
know, everyone from freaking Tanzania
Absolutely.
to Brazil to Chile to Sri Lanka to Switzerland knows
Yeah.
that track, right? But then you bring in that da na na na
Yeah.
na na,
Yeah.
and then there's a few subsections here and there. That's temple metal right there,
Fuck
man.
yeah.
And obviously, if you remember, we actually now it is an instrumental.
Yeah.
Although you know there's a little.
did
bit
have
of,
lyrics.
Yeah, it did have lyrics,
It did
but
have
we,
but we thought
Yeah.
that for the song, it just needed to just
yeah,
I don't know, just be an instrumental.
beats. Like I think we kind of had the I guess a common ground there, knowing that maybe lyrics didn't really do anything for that song other than just
It
exist
still sounded fucking wicked without the, so
without
why
the
haven't-
things. Yeah, without the without the lyrics.
So
And-
all you're doing is overcrowding it. If you just let it breathe, it sounds wicked.
Yeah, and talking about the whole traditional aspect, I don't know if a lot of bands do this now, but again, if you look at Metallica and Black Sabbath and all that stuff, man, back in the day, in the 80s, they used to have instrumentals. You know,
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
you know, they used to have exploding riffs and shouting and screaming, and then suddenly, like the fourth, fifth track of the album,
Yeah.
it's just a. I mean, it's heavy as fuck, right? But
Just
it's
a
just an
break.
instrumental. Like the
Yeah.
vocalist doesn't care. No, you know, just an instrumental.
Yeah.
And I guess I was a fan of that too.
Yeah.
So I said,
Why not
I-
put it in the middle of the track as well?
yeah, why not
album?
put it in there? You know, it's like an instrumental of just us jamming.
Because it's
you know?
good. It definitely leads you into the next song.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Which is
Hello High Water.
Hella High Water.
Hello High Water. Yeah. Which
again,
is
I forget names.
probably the grooviest track and probably your brother's favorite.
My brother's favourite, yeah. And it's catchy. It's really catchy.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
always singing it now. He came into the studio the other day and he's just like, hello, hi. I'm like,
Hello
fuck.
High Water.
Dude, you scared the shit out of me. It's like, it's just a good song. I'm like, it
It
is.
is. It's talking about again Metallica. I think that's a very Metallica
It is. It's
influence
very
song, you know?
mainstream, yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's.
But you still hear those East Asian riffs,
yeah.
sounds, and it's just like, it's still different.
Yeah.
It follows this normal structure of a normal metal song, but it's still different.
different. It's kind of It's I would say it's probably the song which has, in terms of the structure, right? It sounds the most like a traditional heavy metal song. The grooviness, the solo, and we'll talk. We'll talk about the solo that the lead guitarist Ben did, which was just freaking out of this
The solo
world
in that
too.
song is
Probably the best solo. Although I
Absolutely.
think maybe King Cobra is another contender.
I mean,
You
to be
guys
honest,
decide that.
the
Yeah.
solos in the songs that Ben did elevate
Yeah,
so much because he understood. He understands theory,
yeah,
and he understood what notes he needed to play in order to make it sound Eastern.
yeah.
And he's white. He's white as fuck. This boy's white. He's not Sri Lankan.
He's not Sri Lankan. Yeah.
His name's Ben Colson.
Ben Colson. Yeah.
Bean man, go check him out.
Love
He's
you,
freaking
Ben.
awesome.
Love you, Bean man.
He's really into metal. He's
Yeah.
white as fuck. And when he came in, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be interesting.
yeah.
But fuck, he killed it.
Yeah.
He killed it. Yeah.
And it's funny because I was having this chat with Ben, right? And I thought that, and I'm sure that as we go on albums, we'll harness this unique strength that we have.
This sound, yeah.
I come from, I would say, a traditional / doom metal / exotic music world,
Yeah.
whereas he comes from a very death metal / very
Absolutely.
prog. It's one hell of a talented guitarist, 10 times better than me in terms of skill and all that stuff. And I really think that King Cobra can really benefit from our worlds colliding.
Absolutely.
And I
It's
think
good to
the
have
best
someone
is,
who's grounded in just normal metal.
that's right, and because we are so different,
Yeah.
it's not like two guitarists on the same
No,
level or same
exactly,
field
yeah.
trying to outdo each
It's almost
other.
like James Hetfield to your Kirk Hammett.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're so
So
different, but they fucking mix well.
They mix well, and I was having this conversation, and obviously album 2, 3, wherever, and I'm sure that there'll be some very interesting riffs and songs, to say the least, at least very unique, because of such diverse backgrounds that we come from.
Yeah.
So watch out, guys. I
shit
think the
to come.
best is yet to come.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, fuck
Well,
yeah.
the best is still to come in the album as well. which is
Yeah,
The next,
fuck yeah.
the next track is definitely up there. That Scorpion Spring.
What's your thoughts on this one?
I fucking love it. I like it, especially so in the first verse. Is it the chorus?
So
where
Scorpion Spring, but I think
you originally sang it
yeah,
and you didn't like it.
which I
wanna
didn't like.
speak
I
it.
just didn't like the way
As soon
I.
as we changed it, I'm like, oh, this is going to be
Yeah. So I think again that's kind of a Simon / Donkey Man guru behind the the whole
Yeah.
production side of it. Really, I guess coming to the rescue and taking a track which is up there, taking it to the next level. I obviously didn't like my singing there, and honestly, it was probably my least favorite track of the album. And then we threw a few ideas around. Obviously, the song was completely different than what the final product is, right? And we threw a few ideas around, and then you did something with my vocals
your
there,
voice,
right?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
take us through what you
all I
did there.
I just pitched it down a bit.
Yeah,
Put a bit of. I just pitched it down actually. That's all I did. And then you spoke instead of sang it. I put a bit of distortion. I used Butch Vig, his Waves plugin.
yeah,
Fucking amazing.
yeah.
Tinkered around with that, and like that sound that we came out with is wicked.
Wicked, man. It's
I love it.
just a complete different song. I mean, maybe down the line you guys will hear a demo of it, what it used to sound or something like that. But
Maybe.
but yeah,
Go listen to it. It's a good song, man.
It is.
It's
it
definitely
is.
a good song.
Yeah, and it's got a good solo. It's just one of those, I guess, mid-card
Absolutely. yeah.
songs, which is
It's just a good song.
Yeah, it is, and
Nothing special about like Scorpion Spring is a weird name.
yeah,
I kept calling it Scorpion King.
Scorpion King.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but Scorpion
maybe
Spring.
it should have been called Scorpion King. What do you reckon?
Maybe. It
Yeah.
actually sounds. I mean, it sounds like whoever's speaking, which is you, but
Yeah,
sounds like a
like
Scorpion
Dwayne
King.
the Rock Johnson.
Fuck it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
a good
it
track.
is a very interesting song.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's just again, talking about what we talked about with King Cobra and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The kind of the Scorpion Spring can mean anything. But if you look deep into lyrics, I don't know if you remember I telling
Yeah.
it, but it's sort of, I think, the kind of the image that I had in mind was it was this couple that were not accepted by the families or whatever, and,
Yeah.
and what remains now is just their love, right?
Yeah.
And their love has consumed them
Okay.
to the extent that they are thinking of committing suicide. And in Sri Lanka, there's actually a point, like a kind of a peak of a mountain called World's End,
Okay.
right? Which is sort of, you go to the edge of the cliff, right? And then you don't see anything below, right? It's just all freaking covered in mist,
Yeah.
right? So, and these, so many couples have actually jumped together because
right.
either their family didn't say yes
That's
or
crazy.
some shit
Is
like
it because
that.
of like religious diversities and shit?
Yeah,
It's been
just
different?
could be a whole range of things, man. And if you really look at the lyrics,
Yeah.
one of the lines says, escape from the world that's killing us,
Yep.
right? We are trying to build a nest here. Then there's few lines about hope,
Yep.
and redemption.
Absolutely. Redemption is the name of
Redemption.
our whiskey.
Whiskey, yeah, and I guess for me that was sort of the inspiration
Yeah,
for that. Scorpion Spring too. I was thinking, it's kind of a field of scorpions. I know it's kind of wacky, but
Yeah.
it's like sort of, man, all you want to do is just hold hands and walk in a
Absolutely.
field, but then fuck, there's
There's
scorpions
scorpions
that are
everywhere.
trying to kill you.
Yeah. Yeah,
And,
that's wicked.
yeah, so that's kind of was
It's a good image. I like the image of Scorpion Spring. that it
Scorpion
puts in
Spring,
my
right?
mind.
Yeah, like beautiful field, but then you got to watch your step.
Yeah.
And that's actually a lyric of the song.
Yeah.
Watch your step, because it's the Scorpion Spring. So
Yeah.
scorpions have freaking come out, right? You might be holding hands. You're blinded by the love
love,
that you
yeah.
have. Have a beautiful time with your partner, but fuck this, a scorpion
scorpion,
ready to kill
yeah.
you any minute.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So next track is probably the most interesting track for me
Yeah.
on the album. Interesting.
Interesting.
Um,
Yeah.
Genjutsu.
Mm.
What's explain to the people
Yeah.
what Genjutsu is, for starters.
Yeah.
The actual term.
Well, if you're watching anime, and if especially Naruto, and this is for the Japanese fans of King Cobra, you'll know exactly what the fuck Genjutsu is, right? Honestly, I don't know whether it's even a word, honestly, but the concept of the Genjutsu is, coming back to Naruto and the anime world. Do you watch much anime?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, have you seen Naruto at all?
No, I've
Okay,
seen
so-
bits of it, but I was always into Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh,
Right.
Dragon Ball,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so Genjutsu, kind of putting it in layman terms, is when you look into someone's eyes,
Yeah.
right, and they put you in a spell,
Okay.
right? Now, that spell, they make you see what they want you to see, right? Which might be completely different from your reality, and by looking into someone's eyes, right, I think you can get a preview of
Yeah.
what they're about, and that's what I guess the kind of the seed of,
Yeah.
of Genjutsu
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
I mean, in Naruto, there's few characters who use this style of Genjutsu, and they they use it as an attack, right? So they, like for example, if you are having a bad, or if you had a bad childhood with your father specifically, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that, this opponent who uses Genjutsu use it against you, right? So
Okay.
he'll actually, you look into their eyes, you are suddenly in another reality where you're confronting your dad,
Yeah.
right? And so, yeah, it's just again another very metaphorical thing about, it's just someone putting you in their spell,
Yeah.
right? And suddenly you are this pretty happy-going person, but now you are caught in this person's spell, and whatever that they want to project to you,
Yep.
they do, and they suck you into their world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you were suddenly wondering, where the fuck are you? You know.
Absolutely.
But the structure of that song to you, what made you like about that song?
Is the structure. Is I like the. So it starts off super slow, but heavy and dark.
Yeah.
And it just, for some reason, it reminds me of the whole suicide forest in Japan. I don't know why.
Fuck, that's a fucking.
I don't know
point.
why. And even just the word genjutsu, just everything just makes me think of that.
Well, genjutsu is a Japanese term.
It is, yeah. And that's and the whole anime thing. Yeah, it just makes me think. Yeah, it puts that image in my mind. And then when it changes, when the beat changes and the tempo changes, I think is awesome. I think it just kicks in.
Yeah.
And it just puts that image in your mind for me. It puts the image in my mind of the suicide forest in Japan.
Suicide forest, yeah.
I think it's a good.
That's very interesting that you say that.
And just the whole vultures.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know why, but it's just the image that it gives me.
I mean, if you look at the lyrics, right? Like, is it me or is it you?
Yeah.
The painful world that you are trying to preview.
Yeah.
I am now in your spell. It's your genjutsu. Yeah. So the person singing it knows he or she's fucked. Yeah. Right? But then kind of secretly enjoying it as well. Yeah. You know, so yeah, suicide forest. I mean, it's a good thing that you know.
And I think it's because I think it might be because the next song is Funeral Fire.
Yeah.
Which is like the funeral
kind of the next step. Yeah.
Because that's about suicide, isn't it?
That's about to a certain extent. But it's about
which is the last song on the track.
Yeah, it's the last song on the track, and that one's
last track on the album.
Yeah, that's. I think that one, you know, for starters, really, you know, pays tribute to traditional doom, you know, your Black Sabbath and Candlemas and all these bands that I was influenced on. Yeah. I mean, it's as doomy as it can get, you know, it's doom metal.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, you know, you're right. It's the song kind of, in a nutshell, is about someone who's narrating his own funeral, you know, like he's died, right? And obviously coming back to the whole Eastern cultural thing, you know, India, what they do is they put someone on a kind of a pyre of wood, and then they burn them, and then whatever the ashes, they send it down the river, right? Yeah. Kind of river of eternity or your soul or something like that, right? Yeah. River of Soul. That's the song for the next album.
The River of Soul. Fuck yeah.
That's number. Funeral Fire number 2 will be called River of Souls, and that's kind of where the concept came. And I mean, the person who's narrating it and on the lyrics will speak for itself. Is saying, was my life worth it? You know, like, I mean, who are these people who are even coming? You know, like, I mean, does my family want to be here? Yeah. You know, I mean, did they say, I mean, why are they sad now, staring at my corpse? Yeah. You know, when none of them checked on me when I was alive. You know, so all these questions are kind of going through his mind.
Yeah.
While he's burning up. You know, I mean, picture this, like, river, kind of a wood setup, body on there, and then they light it up. You know, I mean, this kind of goes to Hindu, traditional Hindu ways of setting someone on fire. Well, you know, as in dead person, then whatever remains of their ashes, they send it down the river, right? Awesome. So you're right. I mean, look, it's not necessarily about suicide, but the guy could have committed suicide as well.
Absolutely.
I could have died of natural causes.
It's just the interpretation that I got from it anyway.
Yeah.
It's a good song. It's a good song to end the album on.
Yeah. It's long, and I think we did have some bridge section there with the couple of melodic elements coming in, right?
Yeah. It's brilliant.
Yeah, so
that's the fucking album, man.
That's the fucking album, man.
That's it.
I want to ask you a question.
Yeah, go for it.
What was your kind of approach when making this album? Was it different to, let's say, other projects that you did
Yeah.
in terms of the approach or the methods that you
Yeah,
used?
yeah.
Did you, was it like, as in, I guess, I mean, it's obviously a question with so many extended branches, but did you feel like you need to have a specific approach to this album compared to all the other hip hop artists or other projects that you worked
Yeah,
with?
yeah.
Yeah, just,
So, I mean, I grew. I was in a lot of metal bands.
yeah,
That's where I came from. I was always into rock, hard rock. I was into the Guns N' Roses, Motley
Yeah.
Crue, that shit in high
Yeah.
school.
yeah,
I was also into punk, a lot of Ramones stuff, and then Metallica as well. I was heavy into Metallica, Megadeth, all that stuff. Avenged Sevenfold, their new metal stuff as well. System of
Yeah.
a Down, and I migrated into hip hop, right? And then
which
when
is
you
an interesting
It is.
migration, isn't
It
it?
is, yeah. But
yeah.
again, I was always into hip hop as well. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. Like my first album that I ever bought, I think I was 11, and I bought 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying.
Get Rich or Die
That's the first CD I
Trying.
ever
Such a
bought.
classic album, man. That's
But yeah,
Hall of
so
Fame,
the
yeah.
approach that I had been on a hiatus. I hadn't been doing any music when
Yeah.
you came to me, and I said yes because it was different. It was back to where I came from, my roots, what I enjoyed doing, and the approach was honestly like I want to hear what you have to say, what you want to do, and I just want to do it the way you want to do it, but guide you in the direction as
Yeah.
to where, you know, and be honest. If this sounds shit, it's going to sound shit. If this sounds
Yeah.
really good, I think we should do it. If I have an opinion, if I want to add something, I'm going to tell you.
yeah. And for me, man, I think it's one of your biggest strengths
Yeah,
as a
okay, yeah.
producer is
Yeah.
that not only you're easy to work with, right? But then you're very black and white. You know,
Yeah.
if something doesn't right, if there's something doesn't sound right
Yeah.
or doesn't feel right or doesn't fit in, you just tell it straight away.
absolutely.
And you got such a diverse pool of experience
Yeah.
there, and so many different genres. You know what you hear, and
Absolutely.
if something doesn't sound right, you know. And
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest strengths because I mean, obviously, what the audience sees is the final version. Over
Yeah.
here is the final version, but you really took some of these tracks to the next level, man.
Yeah,
you know,
thank you,
and yeah, it's just all credit to you. So
No, it's good. Yeah, I
yeah.
enjoyed working with you on it. It was a good
Yeah.
album.
Yeah,
It was fun. It's out now. Why don't you tell the beautiful people where they can listen to it?
Yeah.
Spotify, iTunes.
pretty much it's there anywhere that you can dream of.
Yeah.
Spotify, iTunes, Tidal,
Music,
Apple
Tidal.
Music, all that. It'll be releasing shortly.
Well,
and
I'm
then,
thinking that when this video's out, it'll be out.
yeah, it'll be out.
So
yeah,
you can
yeah,
go
yeah,
listen to it
yeah.
right now
Yeah,
on all those platforms.
that's right.
So, fuck yeah.
Yeah, man, it's
That's it. It's a pleasure. Thank you for coming down.
Yeah, thank you very much, brother.
It was
Yeah.
good. Thank you to Lance as well for helping us behind the scenes.
Thank you. And, yeah, but it's. I mean, I just want to, I guess, do a bit of a closing note here.
Yeah.
It's just for me, I'm pretty amazed that we are here now talking about the
It's good,
album.
yeah.
Like 2-3 months ago, I just came to you
With riffs.
some, probably 7 to 8 riffs,
Yeah.
and the whole journey that we gone
That we
through.
took is incredible.
It's incredible, man,
It's ridiculous,
and yeah, it's just we had such a great time in,
Yeah.
like I was telling you, your studio there is kind of like very nostalgic to me now. Like,
is,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
feels like a home away from home.
Yeah, it's good,
You
it's
know,
good.
and I guess the message, and I don't want to sound like a philosopher or anything like that, but I mean, what's the take here for any artist here? I mean, it's like if you just got an idea,
Yeah.
if you got an inspiration, just do it and team up with someone who knows what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
producer,
Yeah.
good composer.
But he's not
That's right.
who's not scared to go out of their comfort zone.
Yeah. Every artist is unique in their own way.
Yeah.
It's, and I guess don't try to get carried away by the hype or what's been already
Yeah,
done. I
absolutely.
think everyone's very
do
unique.
you.
They got a very unique story to
Yeah.
tell. And all you need is a producer that can really take you to the next level. And I'm very fortunate that I found someone like Simon. I mean, Simon was gonna be the fucking producer even before I was born. You know, like even before we had any idea of King Cobra.
Yeah.
He was always gonna be the producer because I knew that whatever the idea that you whatever the idea that I bring in, given I guess the experience he has, the cultural background he's from, all that stuff, lots
Yeah.
of factors affect the final product. You know, I knew, man. I mean, that even before I knew that there was gonna be a band called King Cobra, I knew you were gonna fucking produce this
Yeah,
album.
yeah,
You
that's
know,
a good-
obviously we collaborated a few years ago
Before.
on various filming projects.
Yeah, yeah.
If you like, as an artist, I think it's really important to find someone who can take your product or your dream or your vision, your idea, whatever, to the next level, and team up with the producer. Team up with the producer like Simon, aka Donkey Man.
Yeah.
You know, who can really preserve that authenticity, right?
Yeah.
But also, I guess, clear out the edges. You know, sharpen your
Yeah.
axe. You know, and you know, everyone's got a unique story to tell. What's yours?
Yeah. Fuck
You
yeah.
know, what's your story as an artist? You know, let us hear it, right?
Fuck
So, and I'm sure that's what you've been pretty much preaching to, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Genre
That's-
doesn't matter, man.
couldn't have said it
Music's
better.
music, story is
Yeah.
a story. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Fuck yeah.
appreciate it. Take it easy.